Hey, what's going on, yo? I'm driving back from a doubleheader in Reeltown, Alabama, which is a small town to the west of Notasulga, east of Montgomery, if you want to have a better idea where that is. And I'm gonna make this video, and there may be people who don't like what I say. If that's the case, just don't bother entertaining this video. You can click off, you can stop watching, you can just forget about it. Don't come into my comment section, right? Because most of the guys that I surround myself with are, at least for the most part, rational human beings who are going to call you out. And if you yourself are a rational human being who knows what's right and wrong and wants that, some people may disagree on what that is, but as long as you want it, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be on my side. Right? This video is going to address sports officials. Right? Now, I've made a video about why I've taken down a lot of my sports videos and why I'm cleaning out my space of sports stuff. And you can go watch that one. I think that's a good watch too. And there's some other links in the descriptions there. But I just did this game. Well, there's a couple of games. And the amount of hostility, even if it's just verbal, it doesn't matter. The amount of hostility people have towards somebody who's a sports official, to me, boggles my mind. I do not get what is so wrong with what sports officials are doing. I know sometimes there'll be days where whatever logo that it is that you've decided to pick as your choice team, or in this case, whatever logo represents the school that their child goes to, I recognize there will be days where what the officials say does not help your child's team, or will not help the team that your logo is, your logo of choice is, right? And there will be days where it does. There will be days where you may not like it. You may think it's incorrect what some officials will rule, right? And those are just sports. That's how it is. Okay? So, for me to be threatened by a man outside saying, "You're lucky you're on the other side of the fence," that is not okay. Where he's running his mouth all game long, I shoot something back at him. I'll go ahead and tell you what I said, because I ain't scared of him. He just told me, "You're pitiful," after saying a bunch of stuff. I said, "Yeah, so is your wife." He said, "What?" Shoot, he knew what I said. No, I know he knows what I said, because he freaking said it earlier. Or later on, he said what I said back to him. Idiot. Right? Now, was that the right thing for me to do? No. Was it right for him to be yelling at me? No. So there's the start of it right there. Officials aren't looking for trouble. Right? Officials are not going out of their way to cause these problems. Right? So all these people who say that sports officials are trying to make the game about them, that is bullcrap. I have never, I'm talking about ever, in my sports officiating, ever worked or ever seen an official try to make the game about him. It's not the case. Sometimes there are rulings that need to be made that are in accordance with rule, not with the flow of the game, or sometimes not even with common sense. Right? Sometimes the rule is just what it is, and may think, well, that's not right. Is it not right, or is it a rule you've never heard of? Right? So not only was there that moron outside of the fence charging me after the game, there was a first base coach too. And it's just, it's a job where you can do everything right and people still be dissatisfied. And it's a feeling that a lot of people have about cops too. Cops probably feel like you can do everything right and somebody still have something to say. That should not be the case. People need to be educated. Now, with sports stuff, I really don't give a damn. Because you can go watch my other videos. Sports are irrelevant to regular life. They don't matter. If I wouldn't mind it, and perhaps it might actually be a positive thing, if all sports were shut down for a period of a few years, just so people can think about what it is they're doing wrong, not just with officials, but with other things that I pointed out in my other video. Spending all sorts of money to go watch people who don't care about you, spending money to wear a shirt with their name on it. Overspending for food. They charge too much for food. Although, you can bring your own food in. At least in Major League Baseball parks. But I don't know if that's the case with all sports. I went to a collegiate football game one time, and you could not bring your own food and drinks inside of the stadium. And so there's those. But if you're watching this and you're in a position where you can influence others to treat others, not just officials, but treat others in general with respect, regardless as to what they're doing. And if that were to apply to everybody, I'm talking about everybody, then you can imagine how many issues would be solved if we just be able to be reasonable about what we're doing. But it's like people who watch sports don't want to. They just want to believe whatever conspiracy they want to, rather than hear, the facts. So if you're in a position where you can influence people like that, do it. And this is not just, something selfish for me. This is across the board in all areas of the world, in all areas of activities. It doesn't make any sense to be so hostile towards somebody who is not doing the same to you. Simply providing a service for you as a fan, or if you're a player, providing a service for you. How would they get paid to put up with that stuff? No, they get paid to officiate the game. They get paid to know the rule book and enforce it. They get paid to make those really close calls when a lot of people don't know what it is. Even major sports officials, they shouldn't have to put up with it either, just because the masses are ignorant to the truth, ignorant to common decency. understand these people who live in the part of the country that I do, the Southeast United States. And I mean, hey, my parents do this. My best friend's parents do this. Other friends' parents do this. They nearly all do. A lot of them, they probably call themselves devout Christians. So on Sunday, they at the church, or even if they're not at the church, maybe, because there are a lot of church people who aren't church people, but they're still Christian, You don't have to go to church to be Christian. So, but these people, whether they go to church or not, they're devout, they're reading scripture, they're praying, they're trying to, follow WWJD. What would Jesus do? And in general, if you follow that, you'll be fine. Because there is no better human being that's ever lived to emulate, right? And of course, that it's impossible to 100% emulate Christ. But you can certainly try.
In 2 miles, take exit 62 toward US 280 East, US 431 South.
And we'll turn that off after I take this exit. Alright. So, I mean, that's another part. You may not like me talking about God and stuff, and that's fine. I mean, you can believe whatever you want, but I'm still going to talk about it. Talk about Christ and faith, because I try to be a Christian too. And there are times when I fall short. Romans 3:23. For all have sinned and fallen short of God's glorious standard. And today in Reeltown, Alabama, that was the case. That was the case. All sinned and fell short. However, it's important to realize what the sins were. The sins were not incorrect rulings. Okay, that is not a sin. That's not something wrong. Okay, that's not a crime. So that's where I don't get the hostility. Now, if some sports
in half a
official
mile, take exit 62 toward US 280 East, US 431 South.
If some sports official comes and breaks into your house and kills your kid, well, that's different. That's not being an official. That's just being a human being committing a crime.
Take exit 62, then keep right at the fork.
And that's really what officials are. Not officials committing a crime, but they're human beings. And I do want to give credit to a real good friend of mine, Jeff Strohs McHatz, because over the past few months, past year or so, he said because of me, he's kind of realized and rationalized his behavior more toward sports officials, particularly baseball umpires, because that's the sport he watches. But he's rationalized himself towards them because I've talked to him before about different things. And he started to understand it like that. So, because of him, he showed me that it is possible for people to change in this regard and improve. Okay? So, yeah, I don't like to be doom and gloom and think everything's so bad. This can and needs to change. It can, okay? It's simply going to take a conscientious effort, conscientious work to do it. Say, hey, well, what do you suggest? Well, I mean, I mentioned having no sports for a few years, but some people may, not want to have that idea. So, I can think out loud for a second. I feel like I've thought of this before, but let me see. I'm thirsty, it's 4:56 Eastern Time. Denny McClain told me to call him between 4 and 5 my time, and I'm not going to be able to do it. I'll have to try him another day. That's fine. But leagues and associations can establish stricter codes of conduct. Okay? And be prepared to enforce them. And that could create jobs. You got ushers as it is. But what if you double at least double each ballpark's capacity staff of ushers who can keep an eye on disorderly conduct. As far as on the field stuff, the officials can deal with that. As for in the crowd stuff, that needs to be managed. This attitude of you just leave what's in the stands alone, they can do and say whatever they want to, that needs to stop. And I know there are going to be some real red people saying, oh, you're limiting freedom of speech. Not limiting freedom of speech. You can say what you please. If I was limiting freedom of speech, then earlier when I was talking about Jesus Christ, I wouldn't have said it's okay if you don't believe the same as I do. So clearly I'm not somebody who's trying to limit, people's First Amendment rights. Okay, I'm not. Because in the First Amendment, it also says freedom of religion. I can worship Christ, you can worship whoever you want. Oh, well that means you can worship sports teams too. Yeah, you can. I don't recommend it, but you can. That's your right. But just the attitude of in the crowd, you just leave that stuff alone. That needs to come to an end because there's already a mass officials shortage in a lot of sports. A lot. In my state of Alabama, in South Alabama, there's currently, at least last time I heard some form of a strike going on with officials. And junior high and freshman games, I don't even know if they're being played. Some JV, of course, varsity is the priority. It's the priority. So those are the ones that are being fulfilled first. But at the same time, those are also the ones that have the quote-unquote highest stakes. They don't actually matter. Because again, that's what sports actually matters. I have a high school state championship ring. But at the end of the day, when the rubber hits the road, when the crap hits the fan, that thing doesn't mean a thing. The very fact that I clicked a button for a high school football team does not make me a better human being. Doesn't make me better at handling money. Doesn't make me a better father if I was a father. Doesn't make me a better son. Doesn't make me a better anybody. It simply means I was in the right place at a certain time. Right? Now, that's not to disrespect that. It's really cool. It's a nice ring. And I have memories from when I got it. And the season leading up to it and the season before that. The junior and senior year of high school. It's a football ring, but it's a ring regardless. Right? Subject. But again, this is just, I guess, a little message to people who watch this video. I don't know how many will, and it's just not just in real life. I see it, on YouTube comments too. All these people who, if they tried to go officiate, they would be absolutely lost. And I have seen that before because I've seen it in umpire school, people who are umpiring for the first time. Now, I was fortunate. I caught on fairly quickly. When I left umpire school for the first time, I felt pretty good. And of course, I've since been back again. I've been twice, and to other camps as well. And there's a lot of good people who were officials. There's a camaraderie there. I have, a lot of people who are officials say their best friends in the whole world are officials. Officials are not evil people. People say, oh, their officials are just a necessary evil for game. They're not evil. They're necessary, but they're not evil. They are hard-working people. And, of course, I know some of you will say, oh, it's easy for you to say all that stuff. Of course, you're one of them. Well, yeah. That puts me in an even better position for me to express this stuff. And to me, it doesn't matter who says it, as long as it gets said. Right? So, again, if you're in a position where you can influence other people to be just courteous human beings, courteous people toward everybody, and not get in your emotions all the time. Because decisions made out of emotion can often be poor ones, right? And obviously there's emotion that goes on in sports games, more so than there should be. People put too much at stake with those things. I just don't get it. Some of this ties back to the video I've referenced before that I made while I'm trying to move away from sports. And some of y'all may be watching this video and thinking, well, dang, is he going to quit officiating? Not right now. I mean, I got some games. And of course, the school I was just at, past few years, last year they weren't that bad. Looks like this year and then my first year, they always had issues with conduct. And the association I'm in has tried to drop them multiple times, but they've been forced to take them back because no one else in the state will take them. You would think there would come a point where they would just shut down the baseball program. But right now that's not the case. I'm not saying I want that to happen. What I want to happen is just for everything to be resolved and people to realize that the students playing the game are student athletes who are involved in an extracurricular activity which promotes social interaction, provides social benefits, provides an environment to make friends, provides an environment to keep yourself in shape. There's a lot of benefits. And that the coaches are teachers. Now, not all of them are necessarily there for teaching. They have to teach, for the most part, I believe. And so try, to develop young men, not just athletes. And that should be the case. A lot of coaches and managers will say that, but then their actions say differently. And that's not right either. The number one purpose should be to develop the people, particularly in these cases, the student athletes, because they're the ones who going to be the future. I'm not going to say they are the future, because by the time the future comes around, they're no longer, students. But they will be the future. So, focus should be on developing them. And then you got the coaches, parents, officials, and possibly other people who are there to help put it on, to help establish that organization for the students. And again, there's a lot of benefits. I got a lot of benefits when I was involved in high school athletics. There were some negatives too, but a lot of positives. So, glad I was involved. I know people who watch my videos, I don't know how many will watch this one, I have to see. Hats, Dan, Akshay, Ivan, Nolan, I forget what his name is, but he was a assistant coach for the Pier Trappers. There's other people watching these videos too. There's other people who pop in at different times. Shoot. I feel like I'm forgetting some people. Red Rum, I think, watched some of my videos. A lot of the guys who watch Hatz's videos watch mine too. And so, if any of you watch this video and know somebody who could stand to hear it and learn something from it, by all means, share it with them. If that means you need to take this video and crop some stuff out of it or publish it somewhere else, don't worry about plagiarism. I'm allowing you. This is my permission right here for you to take it. For you to take it and put it wherever you need it to. And there may be some videos online that did an even better job than I did of trying to outline some of these issues, and that there needs to be solutions, right? And the solutions are there. They're there. But what I experienced today, and what many officials experience across the country and across the world, particularly in Central America, it's 5 times worse there. It's absolutely awful. But that stuff, no one should ever have to go through that, particularly in a sports atmosphere. It's just completely out of place and completely uncalled for. Okay? So, if you're watching this and you agree, feel free to share it with anybody. If you disagree, then I still appreciate you watching. I still do. And again, you can think however you want to. That's fine. But if you have a point, say, well, hey, what about this? I'll go ahead and tell you this. People who say, oh, all these officials, they're doing so poorly, they deserve some of this. That is not deserving of mistreatment. Even an official does a subpar job, which the vast majority of the time is not even the case. Most of the time, they are doing it. It's just not going in the favor that you want it to. But even if they do have a subpar game, still no reason to verbally or even physically chastise somebody. Right? There may be times to do those things, but in sports, is not one of them. Right? At the end of the day, sports don't matter. The end result's going to be forgotten in a few days' time. Does anybody even remember the final score of the Super Bowl? I don't even remember who won. I don't care either. Alright. So again, I hope y'all got something good out of this. I will be getting home here in a second. I figured while this is fresh in my mind, I'd go ahead and make a video on that. Also, since some of the people I was trying to call and tell about this with my high school association, they weren't picking up at the time. So I figured I'd go and make this video, try to help some people. So I'm all about doing that. Right? I don't know if I've missed anything. I'll probably think of it after I'm done with the video. But I do appreciate all you watching. I do. And I guess I'll see y'all next time.